Welcome to Confessions of a Wife, Mom, and Realtor, the Raw podcast, all about the messy, true lives of working moms in real estate. In this podcast, we talk about the hilarious mishaps and successes that are pretty much guaranteed when it comes to selling real estate while managing a family. I'm your host, Nicole Ward, the boots on the ground toddler mom who swears like a sailor and fails extravagantly, all while running my own real estate business. So grab a juice box and that basket of clean laundry that still needs folded because we're going to jump right in. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for listening to Confessions of a Wife, Mom, and Realtor. I'm Nicole Ward, your host, and I'm with Kait today.
Hello.
How are you? Did you have a good Christmas?
We're good. Oh my gosh, I feel like I am just now catching up on sleep because, a couple nights before Christmas, you're like trying to finalize wrapping presents and get things cooked and all that. And of course, kids don't nap or sleep like the way they're supposed to. So we're finally catching up on that.
Well, I had a great Christmas. It sounds like you had a good Christmas.
Fantastic.
So I guess my first question is, and most of our listeners like to know this question, but when did you get your real estate license?
I got my real estate license in 2019, April. I really just kind of jumped right into it. I didn't really know what I was jumping into. I didn't know how far things were going to go, but right after COVID and all that, things really started kind of
taking off for you.
It took a couple years, to kind of get things up and running. So.
Did you have any, did you know anybody in the industry? Did you have any family in the industry? Or
nope.
So you were completely green. So what made you
want
to get your license?
For sure. I worked in a corporate position for a couple years. Basically, I went to Kent State, got my degree in bachelor's in science, cardiac rehab, loved my internship, was promised a position right after I graduated. And then I graduated, called the hospital, and was like, hey, I'm ready to come work. And they're like, oh, actually, we're not hiring anyone right now. We're on a hiring freeze. We'll call you back in 6 months. Oh my gosh. I loved my internship. I loved everyone I worked with. The nurses were great. Loved working in the hospital. I was in cardiac rehab, so there's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Adored all those people. They were so ready for me to come in. And 6 months went by, and I'm like, I gotta work. I gotta make money. And so I got a job working with my mom at a company managing 401k pension plans, on the tax side of it, and did that for a couple years. Didn't mind it. Learned a lot of really great administrative skills. Tried to kind of level up and build up my my resume with different positions, but it just kind of got to the point where they weren't willing to take me on in another department, but I was getting paid to do all the work, or I wasn't getting paid to do all the extra work that they needed me to.
Right.
And I just kind of saw the writing on the wall at that point and decided, I think my time is more valuable somewhere else, and said, you know what? I've always thought real estate would be kind of cool.
Like HGTV.
Oh, I thought it would be super glamorous. I'm like, I have a Pinterest board for what all my outfits would look like, the kind of houses I'd be going into, what my car might be like. No, none of that.
Doesn't work like that.
None of that.
Now, at this point, when you went to get your real estate license, did you have any kids?
No.
So you went in, no kids.
Oh, yeah. No,
freshly married.
I quit my job and then started my schooling, which I kind of wish I would have done all the schooling while I was still working. But I quit my job, then started my schooling. Very shortly after I started, that was August, September timeframe. I didn't realize 3 months later I'd be pregnant.
Okay.
So I got pregnant shortly after that. So basically, since I've had my license, I've either been pregnant or just had a baby.
My gosh.
Literally licensed 3.5 years and have about a 3.5-year-old.
Right.
And 3 babies total.
Okay, so that's the family dynamic, and that was going to be my next question is,
yes.
So you have 3 babies, and you're married.
Yes.
So just briefly tell me a little bit about your family.
My husband and I met in high school, and we got married sometime after college.
High school
pretty much
sweethearts.
Shortly after. We were very, very much high school sweethearts. He started in in college kind of doing different things, but he ended up becoming a firefighter paramedic, full-time at Canton Fire, part-time at Uniontown. And he's been doing that, loves it, adores what he does, so I try to support him the best I can in that. We shortly had babies after that. And
so what are your 3 kids' names?
We have Elliot James. He is our oldest, our 3.5-year-old. We have Emma Ray. She's 1.5. And then we have Molly Jane, and she is 4 months old. So we're busy. We're tired, but we're good. We're good. We're here.
You had 2 kids, and I've known you for a while. So you were actually pregnant this whole last year, and you just had your last child over the summer. But that's also this past year been the most productive time in your real estate career.
Yes.
So how was it shuffling, doing all of these deals and being an escrow and having all of these things going on, but also being a mom to 3 and having a newborn at home?
I have learned a lot of very hard lessons this year. 2022 was
Name one. If I can make you think of it.
Name one. I'd say drop any super strict expectations you have of yourself. Have goals, but don't get down when you don't make them, because
so that was the hard lesson you learned, is you had these high expectations, and you had things planned, but when things don't go as you planned, it can be a punch in the gut. But you just got to go with the flow.
Be willing to roll with it and pivot and adjust and grow from that. Because last year when I made the decision to switch to EXP, I was like, this is going to be my year. I'm going to work. I'm going to grind. I am going to really kill it this year.
Right.
And that was...
And you did.
I did. But the Lord humbled me and was like, oh, you're going to have a baby this year though too.
Right.
So the day after Christmas was when we found out we were pregnant with Molly, and we also had COVID, and then we got like a million other viruses after that. So it felt like I really didn't get started until January, February, when I really actually was able to take a step back. We were just reeling from this. We were not trying for Molly. And when we found out about her, we were just both so shocked, okay, this is going to change things. 2022 is going to be a different year than we thought.
But you did want more kids.
Yes.
And it was in your life plan. It just didn't happen as you planned or when you planned.
Yes. We were maybe by the end of 2022 we might be ready. But before 2022 is when we found out. So
I guess my next question then, and I think it's really important because a lot of the things that you've touched on is you're newly licensed within the last 4 years. You've had 3 children during that time. You are married and you have a spouse, so you have that support. But he's in an industry where he's on 24-hour shifts, and sometimes he's gone a lot.
Yes.
So what kind of support do you have, or do you have any support? Who can you lean on to help you when you have to go do showings or during a work day or whatever? Tell us about your support.
I have a fantastic support team, through so many different avenues. My husband, when he is home, he is very supportive, and even if he's not home, he's always calling me, checking in on me. He's supportive in so many different ways. I have my parents and his parents. I am so lucky. I have
a lot of family.
I don't have in-laws. I have another mom and dad.
Okay. And you guys all live super close to each other?
Oh, yeah. My in-laws are 5 minutes down the road from my house. My parents are 10 minutes. Okay. Everyone's super close. Could not be any luckier in that
Family
sense.
Support is, massive. And Dan and I we are unlucky in that factor, is that, we do have family and we have that support, but we are not close to our family.
I don't know how you guys do it.
Physically close is what I mean. We love our family, but we're not physically close. So it's just him and I, and that's really, really hard. So it's got to be such a relief knowing that you have 2 sets of parents, 2 moms, 2 dads, and people there to help you.
Location.
Right. And you're in Northeast Ohio, specifically in the greater Akron-Canton area.
Yes.
And, okay, so you do have a lot of family support. What do you do, with your kids during the day, while you're working during the day, business planning or whatever it may be?
Basically, the way we have navigated our schedules is if he is on shift, that's either a home day for me, meaning I'm just home with kids. Sometimes I'm able to get a little bit of work done those days, but usually I'm not.
Right.
Or it's a daycare day.
Okay.
And then if he's home, as long as, because like I said, he works 2 different jobs, so he fills in when he's off.
Right.
But if he's home, usually he'll take the kids at least for a couple hours so I can come in the office and do things, which is pretty much what's happening right now, which is nice. So then we don't necessarily have to have our kids in full-time daycare.
Right.
But that's another thing. We also have a daycare that is ran by my mother and grandmother, which alleviates so much
pressure and
stress and guilt, because I know that my babies are being taken care of by literally the next best people.
Right.
So
how many days a week do your kids go into daycare, would you say?
Between 2 and 3. Sometimes 3 or 4 if I've had a really busy season like I did this fall. They were definitely in probably more 3 to 4 days a week, but when it's the winter time, sometimes they're in less, because if I know I have a little bit slower days, I can just stay home with kids and save the hassle of getting all of them up and ready and out the door.
So what do you do in a situation where, let's just say someone wants to see homes and your husband's on shift and you've got the kids and you have no childcare? What do you do? I'm sure there's a couple of options I can think of that I would do, but I'm curious what you do.
So usually that's on the weekends, because most buyers want to see houses when they're off work, which tends to be evenings and weekends. So my in-laws or my parents sometimes can take the kids on last minute notice, but my parents are younger. You know, they're like mid-40s. So they also have their own life and their own friends. And they're a lot of times on the weekends, they're unavailable.
Yeah.
So if my parents or in-laws can't take them, I've taken them with me. Literally this summer, we had a marathon of houses that we had to see, and I was pregnant with Molly. And so I had both kids on each hip, like walking through doors and stuff, because they're toddlers, so they just want to touch things and run through. And Eli was potty training. I remember vividly, we were in a house that was vacant, thankfully, and he's telling me, I gotta go.
Oh, no.
And I'm looking around, I'm like, we have to use this bathroom in this house. And thankfully it was
there
clean.
Toilet paper?
There was toilet paper. You know, we washed hands. I wiped everything.
It happens.
You can't tell.
I've had to go to the bathroom while showing a house before.
Yes.
So I've done it. Yeah. I mean, why can't your kids do it?
It's just one of those things where it's like you try to avoid it if you can. Right. But he's literally potty training, so you don't want to tell him no.
Right.
Because otherwise you're going the wrong way. But also, and this kind of leads back to the support team, I have also a huge mom tribe that I'm a part of through, you know, it started out with just like our church friends, but now they're like close family friends of ours. And so if at any point I need someone to just take the kids for like 2 hours, I could take them to them too.
That's awesome. That's such a good support system. So that's in addition to your family, you have other mom friends and stuff. That's really nice. They have a huge support system. I love it.
Well, and we just, 2022 kind of opened up this new box of, I have a lot of working mom friends who do different things. You know, I'm actually the only one that's in real estate. A couple of them are photographers. They're, you know, they do floral arrangements.
You should start your own B&I group.
I actually have considered that, and that's one of the things that has come out of 2022, that we all kind of connected and realized we could partner together. And, you know, provide some services for each other's clients and stuff. So that kind of leads off of that support system. But also I want to highlight Nicole and Dan, because they are a huge, huge support for us, for me, for my husband and I, for my family. And I'm going to try not to cry, because I literally wrote this in my notes.
Don't. We're being recorded.
I know. But had I not found you guys, I don't know where my business would be. Truthfully.
Honestly, you always have had it. You've always had it in you. And I always say this, the brokerage doesn't matter at all. It's the people that you surround yourself with that matters. And you and I and all the other women in our group, and we do have men in our group too. Yes. Not to knock the men, but we do have a large group of women who are also mothers, and it's a very good support system. So that's good.
Well, if it wasn't for you guys, I don't know where this year would have led us, but it's been very helpful.
Well, good. So tell me about a time, and this will be one of my last questions, but tell me about a time that was really rough, maybe one of your most difficult times as a realtor mom. Yeah. You know.
Honestly, I would say 2022. was really rough. But specifically between like October and November, because, I was working really hard. I wanted to meet my goals before the baby came. Actually made it. With a lot of prayer. Excuse me. With a lot of prayer and support.
Right.
But also, I was going through, Max was working a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm still in a building phase for my business, so there's a lot of time. Yeah.
If you're not building, you're dying. So you should always be building. But yes.
Well, this was real, I'm in it. I'm trying to redo all my processes.
Right.
And then business was amazing. Things were just really taking off. Mm-hmm. I've had the most volume in the last, I don't know how many couple months than I have my entire career all at once. But also, I was kind of going through, I don't know if it's postpartum. It kind of starts off as baby blues, but then it kind of, and
I get it. I think everybody listening will get it.
And so I think I'm shifting out of that now that I can finally breathe. But also just managing your time properly and trying to give that time to my children, to my husband, to my clients, to my friends and family. And I think in general, between October and December, that's the busiest time for most people, especially wives and moms, because you have all these holidays jammed into one. You're trying to make sure everyone has a great experience. We're building memories, and you're trying to document it all, but also make sure things get done at work. And so having
Have you seen the TikToks of all of the moms and then the dads walking in on Christmas morning what did we buy for our kids?
Yes. Yes, that
is your life.
Thankful. I'm thankful Max, kind of starting to figure out we're all a part of this.
Right.
It's not just we're not all just experiencing it. Everyone has to do their part. But yeah, truthfully, I think the hardest time has been this fall.
After your third baby was born, when your business started to explode and we had the holidays. I mean, that's a recipe for difficulty. But we're on the other side of Christmas now. We're almost in 2023.
Yes.
And I can see so many good things for you. So I'm really excited to watch you shoot forward into the next year. So my last question, and I think our listeners have gotten used to this question, but my last question is, what's your confession?
I actually didn't have one prepared until right now. But I'd say my confession would have to be just the fact that I am trying to let myself breathe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just trying to let myself breathe. And I for the longest time just felt like I had so many expectations of myself and other people. Mm-hmm. And I just keep getting humbled over and over again and reminded the only person who has these super high expectations is myself. Mm-hmm. And as long as I am turning around and giving the credit back to the Lord, back to the people who I surround myself with, and my family, I can then just kind of let go, breathe, and move through things with grace.
So most people in this industry, most women in this industry in general, a lot of people don't realize it. When you ask, who do you work for? A lot of people say, I work for XYZ brokerage or whatever it may be, but that's the wrong answer. The answer is, I work for myself. I'm a business owner.
100%.
And so you have to have high expectations of yourself. And I think that's one thing that you've accomplished. And I feel like setting them too high is okay because it just forces you to reach for the stars and having big goals and dreams. I don't think I've ever, until the last few months, had goals and dreams so big that I'm like, that's not going to be attainable in the back of my mind. Mm-hmm. But then the other half of me is going, yes, it is. Uh-huh. You can get there. Yeah. So I think that while that's a confession, that's also a standard that I think every woman deals with. So
well, and you want the best for your family. You want the best for your marriage. You want the best for your coworkers. Mm-hmm. And so, for the longest time, I just was thinking, I have to give them 110%, 24/7. And if you
don't,
you will fail.
But that's not the way
That's
it works.
that's not the case. And that's why surrounding yourself with the right people can really kind of help bring you back down and push you when you need pushed, but also support you when you need that to fall back on. So
that's awesome. That was a great confession. So if anybody wants to reach out to Kait, you can find her, you can email her, you can call her, you can text her, you can find her on social. Kait Erb. It's Kait.
Yes, K.
Kait
with a K.
With a K. Kait Erb. Do you have like an at?
On Facebook, I'm at Kait Erb Homes. But for the most part, you can just find me under Kait Erb.
Okay. And if you drop below and look at the details for this episode, you can find links to find Kait directly as well. So thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Absolutely.
And stay tuned for next week's show because it's going to be awesome. And see you guys next time.
See ya.
Hey, mamas. Thanks for tuning in to Confessions of a Wife, Mom, and Realtor. If you liked today's confession, make sure you subscribe to hear more juicy stories from other realtor moms like you. See you next week.